And the best of luck with that. Now, it's the Easter holidays, which no doubt means that you're trying to keep the children busy. Perhaps you're planning an Easter egg hunt, or just thinking that the price of lamb's gone through the roof. The papers are all talking about the weather this Easter weekend, the amount of people shopping, and our love of chocolate, with no mention of the religious element of Easter. So is it important that we all know what that true meaning is? So basically, joining us today, we have the Reverend Sally Hitchiner. Lovely to see you. Hello. You're like well glam.
Oh, thank you.
What would you like us to call you?
Sally,
just
fine.
Sally.
Yeah, no problem at all. Sally.
Okay. I mean, the reason I bring up that you don't look like a typical vicar or priest or reverend or however you'd like to be addressed.
You must have a massive congregation. You're so gorgeous.
Oh, I actually work for a university in London, so I'm working with far more gorgeous young things than I am, so I have to keep up with them a bit.
And what do you make of that? Are students attending church? Are they interested in religion?
Well, you know, it's funny because I think there are fewer people attending church now than there were in the past, but I'm seeing so much spirituality, so many people still praying, still believing in God in their own way, and I think it's still there. It's just not necessarily reflected in numbers of people that go to church.
But in the 1950s and sort of onwards, you had to make a real show of going to church. Do you, regardless as to how well you were leading your life, do you think that's changed?
Oh, absolutely, and it's a brilliant thing. I think it's great that people don't feel pressured to appear to be religious if they're not particularly religious. They can just be themselves and not have to, you know, please their parents and go to church every Sunday for the show of it. And I think everyone's better for people being more honest. And I actually think people believe in God more because they don't feel pressured into it rather than less. But that's my point.
And you have to go to church to pray either.
No,
because my mum used to pray at home. It used to take her about an hour by the time she'd been through all of us lot and praying for us all. And her grandchildren and her great-grandchildren and everything. She'd just have a little hour to herself every night having a little prayer for each one of us. So I think it's just as nice to do it at home, really.
Definitely, and I think there's something quite. Oh, there's going to be a round of applause.
I think it's interesting as well because of the whole, you know, the whole thing of regardless of how you're actually living your life, to put the whole show on, it's far better to lead by example. And obviously we're here today to talk about, you know, the meaning of Easter and whether the meaning itself has been lost in the whole melee of, you know, chocolate and bunnies and all this sort of thing. So what we did was we basically, as the audience were coming in to see the show today, we set up a little table just by the door as they were coming in, and you'll see there's a basket of chocolate eggs, and then we also had prayer cards. And just out of interest, we just wanted to see how many people would choose the chocolate over the prayer card. Now, as you can see, it is a bit of a mix, but most people seem to be going for the chocolate. And we've got the results in. Basically, 75% of our audience, that's 46 people, took a chocolate egg, 13% took a prayer card, but interestingly, 12% couldn't decide, and so took nothing at all. And I think that kind of actually sums it up, because you can almost put chocolate to one side. Yeah, everybody loves a bit of chocolate, but in terms of doing the right thing, we're not too sure.
Yeah, I'm sad you couldn't get both. I would want both if that was it.
Four people broke the rules and took both. So what is Easter all about? Where have we got it all confused? Where have we mixed the message?
I think we have often forgotten the real meaning of Easter, but you know, we still do a lot of the practices of Easter. We still give up things for Lent, and we still buy Easter eggs, and we still often have a big family roast on Easter Sunday, but without maybe realising the significance of what we're doing. And you know, I had a student the other day who he had to Google what Easter was, because British born, didn't know it was from a not particularly religious family, didn't know the story of Jesus dying on the cross, losing all his friends, being rejected. I know it was a total, like, everything went, and the idea that he just hadn't heard the basic story of Jesus dying and rising again, and that was supposed to be some message of hope for the whole of humanity. I thought it was really shocking that he hadn't heard that. But
I mean, I was mostly convent educated, and my mum was a devout Catholic, and I'd say I'm an a la carte Catholic, if I'm allowed to because I've broken most of the rules. But the church was a great comfort for me. My parents died, but my boys, they've made their first communion, they made the confirmation, and then that's it. They said after that, so they know, we do know what it's about. But it's tradition as well, and it's like wonderful to celebrate it, and thinking about someone dying. It's a kind of it's a
do you think
thing.
it matters whether people know that you're talking about your student who didn't know the actual true meaning of Easter? Do you think as long as family traditions are being built, does it actually matter, or should we know?
There's a lot of good thing in family traditions. I'm not against them getting together for a roast and things, but I think they're missing out. There's this message of hope that is there, that even in the darkest situation, that hope can come. We've all faced tough times this year. There've been the floods, there've been job cuts, there've been relationship stresses, and not to mention all the personal challenges and sickness, and we've all done things that we regret and we wish we hadn't done. And the message that there can be some hope within that, there can be a new life, a new start from that, is something I think is brilliant, and everyone should hear it, really.
So, Sally, I wanted to ask you a question. So I'm not religious in the slightest. Do you have a problem with somebody like me? I love Easter. I love the Easter as a celebration and creating traditions with my children. I love Christmas also, but I use them as celebrations to create memories for my children. Do you have a problem with someone like me who's not a Christian celebrating your?
Of course not. No, I mean, I don't think anyone fully gets the significance of it. So as long as you're doing something that is meaningful there, I think you're participating in a little bit of the story and a little bit of the hope, even if it's not what other people would find in it. And you've got to find what's right for you and your family as well.
Well, this is it. I mean, I think a lot of the Christian values are values that everyone can use anyway. But as I just said, I'm not deeply religious. I don't read the Bible and stuff like that. But I do think that the message is very important, and I think it's a good thing.
What is it? Why is it that you're not? Is that a too heavy a question to ask?
I'm really sorry. I think, I just wouldn't say I'm not really a strong believer in.
But I think there are so many people out there, like we were just saying, who not necessarily one thing or another, or not quite sure. They don't want to reject all the sort of family tradition things.
I mean, I'm a very spiritual person. I believe in being a good person, doing good things, and as I said, a lot of the Christian values are those that are.
Very briefly, would you say that, you mentioned church numbers, attendance numbers are down. Do you think a part of that is embarrassment? That people think there's going to be rituals there that I might not necessarily understand and know what to do? Do you think Easter, you're talking about, it's a time of rebirth, obviously it's spring, this is another celebration in itself, is a time to maybe give it a go, to go and just enjoy an Easter service and just see how you get on with it, dip your toe in?
Within 5 minutes of where anyone lives in the UK, there's a local church. And there's something nice about going to your local community, being part of your local group of people, your neighbours, people you might not have had a chance to say hello to, and you're getting together and celebrating new hope and God's love and all the good things that can come from that. So I think if you could go along, even if you never go to church, go along and see it.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Sally Hitchiner, everyone. Thank you, Sally. Thank you so much. Thank you. That is it for today. Join us tomorrow at 12:30 with Faye Ripley, Claire Richards and Linda Robson. And Mo Farah will also be here with his wife, Tanya.